Ask me what I'm doing, just grinding. Haters wanna hate, let them hate, never mind them. Be more bins, tryna reach the next plateau. And I can't stop till I achieve my goals. Keep a couple fees inside the photos. So official with the vibe, you can't fuck up my zone. Hold on for a minute, let me count mine, you know.
Welcome to the Ultimate Wealth Podcast, the show where we unlock the secrets to financial empowerment and lasting prosperity. I'm your host, Derek Pasalacqua, and together we're on a journey to transform your financial future and elevate your life to new heights. Join us each week as we dive deep into proven strategies, powerful insights, and transformative stories. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a busy professional, or someone seeking to create wealth and build a lasting legacy, this podcast is your go-to resource for achieving financial mastery and living a life of intentional greatness. This show is about more than just building wealth. It's about creating the life you deserve. So join us and let's build a future where financial freedom is not just a dream, but a reality. Welcome to Ultimate Wealth. Welcome to the Ultimate Wealth Podcast, where we empower you with the strategies, insights, and inspiration to transform your financial future and reach your God-given potential in life. I'm your host, Derek Pasalacqua, and today we're diving into a critical topic that every person needs to understand when it comes to investing, money, finance, and why average rates of return can be very deceptive and what you should look at instead. Okay, so the concept of average rate of return is something that you'll hear talked about by a lot of financial advisors and frankly a lot of online or radio gurus, financial entertainers, so to speak, like Dave Ramsey's, who will tout these wonderful, amazing, historical 12%, mythical 12% rates of return. And the fact is that is incredibly misleading and does not even come close to showing the full picture. And it's actually really very kind of frustrating and upsetting a little bit whenever you hear people talk about average rates of return as if they're being completely transparent with you about everything that's going on. So you'll hear a lot of people, like I said, Dave Ramsey is one of the loudest just because of his platform and the size of it, but talks about how, you can get guaranteed, he almost makes it sound like it's easy, 12%. I actually heard him say that his has actually done quite a bit better than 12% rates of return, like clockwork, year in and year out. Of course, he'll be the first to admit that not every year is a 12%, but over a long period of time, he says, 12% rate of return is what you should be able to expect in a good mutual fund. Now, I'm here to debunk that, and not necessarily, I could care less about if it's 12% or not. So I'll just actually give him the benefit of the doubt, and we'll just say it is 12%. What I'm here to talk about is why that is meaningless, why that does not matter, and why you should not care at all about average rate of return. And that's really the goal of this episode, is just to peel back the layers, really dissect it, and look at what does matter, and what is a better way of evaluating a financial product or an investment versus or compared to the average ROR. So for starters, one of my favorite ways to look at any type of investment or vehicle for putting money into is what's called an IRR, internal rate of return. That's what real estate investors use. That's your cash on cash return that factors money in versus overall money out. And it accounts for your expenses. And it basically just tells you, like, if you put X amount of dollars into a deal or an investment and you get this amount back, this was your return on the dollars invested, right? So, and then, like, for example, in life insurance, the IRR accounts for all the down years. Not that you're having a down year as in you're losing value, but your cash on cash return in the early years is like typically a little bit negative. And then in the later years, it gets more and more efficient as time goes on. So then the later years, it shifts from being kind of, negative, and then it starts gradually going up and up and up and up. And then by the time you get to, like, the later years, 30, 40, 50 years in, it's absolutely ridiculous. But the IRR is if you had a kind of a straight plane and that connected. So let's say that in years 1 through 5, if you were like negative 60% year 1, and it tapered up to like say negative 5% in year 5. Okay, and then by year 10, you kept tapering up, right? And by year 10, you were at say 3%. So it's going to figure out where that comes to level, like even basically. So then, like, let's just go out to you. Say you're 30. I believe the last policy I looked at was it had a lifetime IRR of 3.7%, and so that's saying that over the life of the policy, based on the amount of dollars contributed to the principal towards the premiums paid, right? Cumulative premiums paid into that policy over a 30 or 40 year period, it was going to generate a 3.7% internal rate of return. Okay, and that can be a little bit confusing to understand, and it's kind of even a little bit difficult to articulate, but it's taking into account what's actually happening, and that's the big difference. It's not speculating or guessing, or it's not a meant to sound super sexy and give you a false sense of security, which in my opinion is really the only point of an average rate of return. And I'm going to give you a really good example right off the bat here, just to put this to bed, because I know there's going to be a ton of people that quite frankly just get kind of irritated and pissed off and don't agree, but don't shoot the messenger. So example number 1 I have for you here. All right. If you had, let's just for easy math, if you had $100, okay, if you had $100 in an investment account, I don't care if it's in your 401k, in your savings account, a money market, whatever, if it's invested in the market, okay, let's just say 401k, $100, all right. Year 1, you get 100% return on that $100. So the market goes up 100 points, you get 100%. So now you're at $200, right? You're at 100, you made 100% return on your money, you're at $200. Okay. So now in year 2, the market goes down 50%. All right. So year 1, 100%, plus 100%, year 2, minus 50. What is the average rate of return through 2 years? 50%. What is your actual account balance though? It's even. You were at $100, you gained 100%, put you at 200, you lost 50%, so that took you back to 100. 50% of 200 is 100. So you've averaged rate of return is 50% through the 2 years, yet your account balance is the same as it was when you started. It has not changed, even though you've had an average rate of return of 50%. So if you're still not convinced, let me give you a little bit more of a in-depth one. I'll go 5 years, a little bit maybe more realistic, if you will. And actually, I think I'm going to paint this more in the favor of people that are for it. So you'll see what I mean here. So let's just say you have the same $100. Year 1, you're plus 100%. Okay. Year 2, you're plus 50%. So right now you're up 150%. That puts you at $300. Year 3, minus 75%. Okay. But year 4, we're going to go ahead and go up 100% again. So far through 4 years, you've had year 1 was 100% increase. Year 2 was a 50% increase. You've only had one down year, and that was year 3. It was only 75%. And then year 4 was another 100% increase. Okay. And then I could have just stopped there and it would have proved my point just fine. But let's go ahead and go to year 5, minus 50%. So out of 5 years, 3 of the 5 was 100%. 100 were positive. You had 2 100s and a 50. 3 out of the 5. So it's 250% of growth that occurred during that 5-year span. You only had 2 down years, right? And the 2 down years were only 50 and 75. You didn't have any hundreds. And like I said, there was one less. You had literally two of the up years were 100% returns. Your worst down year was only a 75 and you only had two of them. So you would think that if somebody told you that over a 5-year period, you could have two of the 5 years, you would get 100% return. One of the 5, you'd get a 50% return, and you would only have 2 down years, and the worst down year would only be a 75% return, and the other would be a 50. At just first glance, that sounds like you would come out ahead, but let's look at it a little bit closer. So after year 1, what happened? Well, you had $100, you had 100% return on your money, so now you're sitting at $200. Year 2, you had another 50% return, so that puts you at $300 because 100% of 100 is 100, so that doubled, right? Took you to 2. Year 2, 50%. What's 50% of 200 is 100, so that put you at 3. Okay, but then in year 3, you had a 75% loss, so that cut you in half. That took you down to that did more than cut you in half. That took you lost 75% of your 300. That took you all the way down to $75. So like right there, I could have quit after year 3 and would have proved my point just fine. But then I gave you another 100% return in year 4, right? And so but did that take you back to 300? No, that only took you to 150. So through 4 years, I mean, this is just insane. Through 4 years, you've only had one down year, and it was 75%. You took a 75% hit in year 3. The other 3 years, 2 of them were 100% gains or 100% returns, and one was a 50% return. And you're still only $50 ahead, right? Through 4 years. And then after the 5th year, so you're sitting at $150 through 4 years because that 75 cut that 300 down to $75. Now, you had the 100% in year 4, so that bumped you back to 150 because 100% of 75 is 75, so double at 150. All right, and then in year 5 is a 50% loss. So that took you back down to the $75. So you have averaged through 5 years 125% rate of return. Average rate of return through 5 years, 125%. Yet your account balance is 25% light. It has 25% less money in it than you did when you started. How the hell can you average 125% but have less frickin' money than you did when you started? Well, how about because average rate of return doesn't tell the whole picture? How about because it's very misleading and it's not showing folks really the true scope of what they're getting themselves into? And this is why we are such big advocates of keeping control over your money and getting clarity and getting in alignment. We want you to find congruency. We want you to get clear on your values and your beliefs, what's important to you, what matters to you, and then get your finances in alignment with those values and beliefs. Because listen, at the end of the day, okay, you have a lot of people that walk around and talking about how they're passionate about this, that, and the other. They believe strongly in all these different things, but then when you look at where their money is or what it's doing, many of them have no idea what it's invested in. And I feel like if a lot of them actually knew and understood where their money was at and if they knew the true cost of giving up that control and giving up the power and handing it to someone else to make guesses for you, to speculate for you. Because listen, all Wall Street is a casino, and they put a fancy wrapper on it and they give it some fancy names, but you're still gambling. I don't care what your average rate of return is. I don't care what the S&P 500's done. What does the balance sheet look like? Listen, here's the truth. Here's the reality of the situation. Life doesn't exist on a spreadsheet, okay? And why are so many people, if 401ks are so great, why are so many baby boomers, why are so many people struggling to retire at all? I would suggest to you that maybe the system is broken and that maybe there's a better way. But you have to start by asking the question, before you can get the answer, right? So like, you have to ask yourself, what else is there? Is there a better way? What's important to you? What's your risk tolerance? What matters to you? Why does it matter? What do you want to do with your money? What do you want to do? Do you want to create a legacy? What things matter most to you and your family and your life? Once you know that, you can begin to design a plan that can ensure that all the things that matter to you and are important to you are factored in to that strategy and ultimately worked into your financial plan so that it's a reflection of who you are, right? And so wouldn't you want something that like if somebody walked up and a stranger walked up to you and said, hey, give me some of your money, I'm going to go in the casino and I'm going to charge you whether I win or lose, right? If you win, I'll give you a little cut, but either way, I'm taking my cut. Would you say yes to that? Of course not. You'd tell them to get lost. That's crazy. But that's exactly what people do every day when they give up their power, give up the control, and hand their money over to a financial advisor who is just somebody with some special letters behind their name that's no better that's no better at timing the market than you are, right? The whole point of diversification is because at the end of the day, you don't know what's going to happen. So therefore they tell you to diversify because they are speculating based on past performance, right? But they don't know what's going to happen. There is no guarantees. And guess who gets to take all the risk? The consumer. You do, not them. They get paid either way, right? They're getting paid regardless. So when, first off, your interests are not aligned, when they win, whether you win or not, that doesn't sound like a very good deal to me. Now, I'm not suggesting that 401ks are evil, and I'm not suggesting retirement plans are the devil, and the stock market and Wall Street is the devil, and that you shouldn't do it. That's not at all what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that I want you should just simply understand and be aware of exactly what you're getting yourself into, and know the truth and understand it. I don't want you to put your money into anything that you don't understand. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. If you don't understand it, you should not do it, period. I don't care what it is. It could be the greatest thing since sliced bread. It could have guarantees. If you do not understand it, if someone cannot explain it and articulate it to you in a manner in which you are comfortable and understand it to the point where you could actually turn around then and tell someone else what it is and explain it to them, then you probably shouldn't do it. That's just the reality of the situation, because life does not exist on a spreadsheet. We all have decisions to make with our money, but we believe that everyone's number one asset is themselves. At the end of the day, you are your own greatest asset. And if that is true, if people say that, but if they truly believe that they are their own greatest asset, then the best investment you could make with the best rate of return is going to be on yourself and in yourself, especially when you're younger, right? People try to say that when you're younger, since you will have more time to recover, you should take more risks. Well, I would like to challenge that and say, since you're younger and you have more time, all things being equal, you don't need to take as much risk, right? Not that, hey, since you're young, you can afford to take more risk because if something goes wrong, you have time to recover. Let's maybe shift that to, hey, I'm young, I have more time, I don't need to take that risk. I've got time on my side. Risk isn't necessary, right? Like I've said this 100 times, but I quote Jim Rohn all the time because of how applicable so many of the things that he says or said are still to this day, were 100 years ago and will be 100 years from now. And that's like I said, one of my favorite things that he ever said was, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. And I think that it's important to acknowledge the fact that, hey, listen, there's stuff I don't know. I learn stuff every single day. And I'm not sitting here claiming to be a know-it-all, because I don't. There's, like, I joke all the time and say, I'm 34 years old, and I'm just now smart enough to know how to start to kind of know a little bit, tiny bit, understand and know how much I don't know, right? Like, I'm far from perfect. I make mistakes every day. I learn stuff every day, and I'll be the first one to admit that. And I hope that never changes. I hope I continue to learn stuff every day for the rest of my life. But I also keep an open mind, and I use some common sense, and I don't just go do something simply because somebody else said it was a good idea and that's what I should do. If I don't understand it, and if I don't feel like it fits into who I am as a person and who I am as a man, if it isn't in alignment with that, if there's no congruency there, then I personally just don't really want any part of it. So just something to keep in mind as we go forward. So I know a lot of people are going to say, hey, that's great. You got on here and you talked a lot of shit about, average rates of return and financial advisors, but you didn't bother offering up any advice to be part of the solution. So that's not what I'm trying to do. So I will give you my 2 cents and do with it, what you will. But, and again, this, number one, this is not financial advice. This is investment advice. Always consult with your own financial advisor, with your own legal team, all that. Don't sue me. This is just what I personally do and believe in and understand. And so this is what works for me. I don't know what works for you. Your situation, everyone's situation is different. And that's kind of another one of my big issues with the whole Wall Street thing is I think they've got everything backwards. They tell you to save money. I think saving money is stupid. Let me explain. When you say, like, if your whole thing for retirement is you're going to save, right? And one day, hopefully, you're going to have enough saved so that you can retire and live on that amount for the rest of your life with no new money coming in because you'll have saved enough. You'll be able to self-insure, they say. So here's the problem with that. I don't care what you save. What happens whenever you get something crazy happens, like stage 4 cancer out of the blue, and now you have a couple $1 million in doctor bills. Well, that little $2-3 million nest egg doesn't look so great now, does it? Like, when real emergencies happen, I just don't. Why would you want to self-insure? It just doesn't make sense. But before I get off down that rabbit hole, let's steer back here to what my previous statement. So here is why I say I think saving is stupid. Because no matter how much you save, there's going to be things that can happen that could deplete that money, regardless of how much it is. All right. Why work your entire life sacrificing, scrimping by, and trying to save every penny because first off, that's not a growth mindset. That's just a very restrictive, I don't know. I just didn't think that mindset serves you. And would you not rather look at things through a different lens of how can I create more? How can I add more value? And how can I maybe collect assets that will cash flow and build up cash flow, monthly recurring cash flow, so that it doesn't really matter how much I have saved. I can never outspend my income because I've put a system in place. I have a foundation in place that continuously replenishes itself. And if you view yourself as your own number one investment, then invest in yourself and invest in new skills, invest in new knowledge and new mindset, invest in yourself, and then use that to go and create and provide value in society and the economy, and then create cash flow on a recurring basis passively, so that when you get to a point where you don't want to work, you do not have to. And then you also do not have to rely on some stupid 4% rule or worry about RMD, minimum, required minimum distributions and all these other things and outliving your money, and because you're going to have new cash flow coming in. Now, listen, I get it. If you're a little bit older and you've already been doing this, I'm not telling you to abandon ship. I'm just saying that there's more than one way to skin a cat. That's really it. And I'm just simply trying to get you to look at a big picture, think outside the box, and like just start asking questions. Be curious. How are the different, what are some different ways that you could go about reaching your goal? Because I promise your goal isn't to save money. Your goal is to live a certain standard of living, have a certain standard of living, live a certain lifestyle, have a certain quality of life. That's your goal. And you've just been told that the way to have that is through saving up enough money, investing in the stock market, hold on through the downs and pray like hell that, things come back and you hopefully you don't retire during a recession, I guess. I don't know. I just think that's shit advice, and I think there's a better way. So number one is create value and figure out a way to create recurring revenue, and passive income. Now, number two is if you're young enough, if you use a vehicle like whole life insurance that gives you something that gives you guarantees, right? You get guaranteed lifetime growth, you get creditor protection, liquid access to capital with no credit check, no application process, tax deferred growth. But if it's set up and structured and used properly, it's tax free. You get tax free access anytime you want it through policy loans. Life insurance is also FIFO, first in, first out, meaning tax free up to basis, what you contributed, or up to tax free up to the amount that you put in, up to principal. Right? You get a tax-free death benefit. You have the ability to control capital. What's that worth? Right? You get it provides you with more options. The loans, when you take a policy loan, works kind of like a line of credit, like a HELOC. Every time you make a payment, it's an interest-only loan for number one. Every time you make a payment, that amount instantly becomes available to use right away. Again, allows you to earn returns in multiple places at once. You're not required to pay the loans back, although I highly suggest that you do so. You're not required. You can use it as a volatility buffer during retirement. If you have a down year, you can allow your investments to recover during the down years, so that way you don't deplete your nest egg and you don't outlive your income, your savings. You have continued growth even when using your money. So your money will continue to grow inside your policy, and you can then leverage that to also go invest in those acquiring the cash flowing assets outside the policy, putting your same dollar to work in multiple places at the same time. Okay. You have the ability to also collateralize it at a bank. So you can take and go to a credit union or a bank, and they will collateralize your cash value and give you a loan. So you maybe could get a loan at even a lower interest rate. There's also living benefits. If you become critically, chronically, terminally ill at any point in time, you can accelerate not the cash value, but the death benefit while you're alive. I know a gentleman is alive today because he had got sent home on hospice, had 6 months to live, he had cancer, and because of his whole life insurance policy, he was able to accelerate his death benefit, and he is alive, well, and cancer-free to this day because that accelerated death benefit allowed him to go seek alternative treatment overseas, and he's still here today because of it. That's a powerful story. That would not have happened if he would have self-insured. It literally gave him life. It has all the carriers that we recommend they all have a track record of over 100 years of paying dividends. They've all been profitable for over 100 years. You'll hear people say that the dividend is just means that they charged you too much because the IRS classifies it as an overpayment of premium. And while they do classify it as an overpayment of premium, therefore making it tax-free, that's actually a good thing, not a bad thing. And if all they were doing was giving you your money back that they overcharged you for, then how in the hell would you ever have more cash value available inside your policy than you freaking paid in? You wouldn't, because that's not all they're doing. You're sharing in the profitability of the company. So when less than 1% of term insurance policies ever paying out, also term coverage is the biggest profit center that any insurance company has. You're getting to share in those profits. All right. So they have all these amazing things. The fees are incredibly low, especially compared to 1% management fee. It's a joke. And you get to guarantee that all the things that you want to happen in and throughout your life get to happen, whether you're here or not. And that's pretty powerful and pretty awesome. And so while I will say life insurance is not an investment and it's not a substitute for investments, it's a powerful foundational asset that can allow you, when used, set up, designed properly, and used correctly, works as an amazing foundational asset, as a place to store and use capital to create wealth, eliminate debt, and do different things. And it grows with you throughout every stage of your life. Hey, listen, thank you so much for tuning in today. I appreciate it. If you want to learn more, you can check out our website. Okay. You can visit mydebtfreeadvantage.com. Again, that's mydebtfreeadvantage.com. And listen, if you found today's episode helpful, make sure to subscribe, share, leave a review, and hit the bell so you don't miss another video or podcast release or whatever in the future. And listen, we want to hear your feedback. Don't forget to check out our website again and our free community for more free resources and tools to help you on your journey to financial freedom. You can visit ultimatewealth.mvt. That's Michael Victor Ted .so, Sam Octopus. So ultimatewealth.mvt.so. That's our free community. Tons of free resources in there. Everything from worksheets and guides and ebooks to video lessons and courses and master classes, webinars, all sorts of stuff to help you, all free. Just visit, sign up, and you get free, unlimited access. It's all there specifically for you to help provide value. That's why we're here. All right. So hopefully you enjoyed this. You got something out of it. Like I said, leave a comment below. Please share, subscribe, like, and don't forget to join us next week as we dive into the strategies for building a robust emergency fund and why it's a cornerstone of financial stability. All right. So thank you so much again. My name's Derek Pasalacqua. It's been a pleasure. And as always, remember, live your legacy. Thanks for tuning in to the Ultimate Wealth Podcast. I'm your host, Derek Pasalacqua, reminding you to live your legacy and take control of your financial future. Until next time, stay empowered and stay intentional.
Ask me what I'm doing, just grinding. Haters wanna hate, let them hate, never mind them. Be more bins, tryna reach the next plateau. And I can't stop till I achieve my goals. Keep a couple fees inside the photos. So official with the vibe, you can't fuck up my zone. Hold on for a minute, let me count mine. You know. They throw a salt on my name. Ooh, they let it throw shade. Cause a young nigga paid, family straight. That was in my chain.